All right. Well, we are back with the second part of the Laura Files, the Carrie and Casey
love story.
Oh, welcome back.
I know you guys are so
Hello. Can you
excited.
go?
What's happening over there?
Too much caffeine, maybe.
Maybe I just feel better.
So, wanted to go back. Let's go back to the beginnings.
Of your relationship.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you both your perspectives because I find this very fascinating.
I love that.
So Casey, describe the first time that you met Carrie.
Okay. Well, I had seen Carrie a few times and talked to her a few times briefly when I was getting my beard trimmed by somebody else.
I'm a barber, by the way.
Yeah. So once we had talked a few times, and then once I switched over and she became my barber, then we had a lot more in-depth conversations. But in the beginning, you were still kind of coming out
Of a thing.
of a thing, and I think I was lost in
We're in our things.
yeah.
All things.
So, but once we started talking, and then we got to the point where I noticed,
That there was, no ring on the finger.
and and then it just became like
Well, okay.
so we've gotten to know each other. For a little while now, and
Did a background check.
yeah, we did our
Sitting in the
background
chair.
checks. That's right, and.
We interview you. You interview me.
Yeah, and then after that, it's just kind of like, okay, well, why don't we swap numbers and why don't we get together sometime and hang out and let's see where this goes. I really want to get to know you and spend some time with you outside of this chair and your work. So, and then it just kept blossoming from there.
Yeah, I did.
You were a captive audience for her, though, being stuck to your chair.
Yeah.
So.
He was stuck there, that's for sure, and I made sure of it.
Oh, so Carrie, tell me more about what's behind those eyes and
Who,
how you
me?
met Casey.
Who, me?
What was your perception?
Well, I was managing a barber shop that he used to come into, and I have been doing beards for a good number of years, and my favorite type of people are usually military people because of how strict they are with the things that they like. Bring it. And so he had come into my shop many times because he was a regular there before I actually even was managing that location. But I had seen a couple of the girls work on his beard not to my liking, and I was really upset by that. So I made sure that only I could cut his beard. And I might have told some of my employees that he had complained about them to make sure that they didn't get it. No more words.
No more words.
So I made sure that only I could have access to his beard because it needed to be absolute perfection. And anything less than perfection on this is an absolute atrocity. I quit. No way, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and once you started cutting, I was like, man, what the fuck was I doing with those other ones getting hacked and stuff?
Just saying, this piece of art here you can't mess with. That's mine. Anyway. But that's because he's so glorious. So that's how I was like with that. Okay, cool. He comes in, he's like, I've got to make sure that he has this art piece every time. And then he turns out to be interesting on top of it. So, we're getting to know each other through these awesome conversations. He smells so good. Oh my God. So he didn't know this at the time, and I've had to tell him multiple times since that I used to.
I was so nervous when he would come in.
I had a massive crush on him, but I don't date clients, so that's not a thing. But he would come in and he would sit down. I mean, I even went out and got product from him at places across these workshops that we'd go out to. You didn't bring product home for your clients, but Okay. I did.
Yes,
I
you did.
I wanted to hook him up.
Yes.
Total crush.
But it wasn't until, and I didn't, because I had a crush on him, I didn't want to like ruin a good thing. Because if we were to start dating, what if we broke up or we didn't get along or something? Then I lose my client too. So I'm not trying to. Do I like the beard better than the guy? I just don't know yet. So it took a minute to, and then once we started talking and everything else, and then I was clear and you're clear, and then he would ask me out, and I was like, oh, I gotta wait a minute for this because I don't want to lose him as a client. And then he would ask again, and I was like, and then the girls at work were like, do it, and I'm like, and then he would hug me.
Talk about how you initially.
Oh man, okay.
That's important.
That's important. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm gonna get up all in your face here. Okay, being the part that I am an empath, being the part that I can feel things, there were some parts of the job there required me to put my hands on his scalp, and I used to do massages at one of the barbershops that he would come in and visit. But I made sure that he got a treatment for me too, especially on your birthday. Are you talking about that?
I meant how you could, when you were touching the back of my head.
Oh yeah, and I could see everything.
You could feel, and that's when you started realizing that
yes,
this was something special.
Yeah, he really woke me up is what happened. Here I was going all these years being totally fine in my hush, don't tell anybody I'm a psychic medium, except for I'll do some readings, but don't you dare tell anybody that I did that. But with him though, like when I would be doing his massage, I could see him and who he was, and actually start seeing myself through who he was, which was a real weird thing to actually get a reflection of yourself in somebody else.
What?
That's a big deal. And there was a part of a placement where I had my hands behind his neck like that, and I was getting these flashes of him and I together as a couple. And turns out I had a painting of him from the time I was younger. There's a picture that he has in the hall here of him when he was about 10 months old. But I actually have had a painting of that exact thing that I did many, many years ago. So I was told many, many years ago about this person, but I never put two and two together that it was him, that he was the person that I was designed to be with. And except for when I had that, doing the massage behind there and getting these flashes like,
Oh my god, it's him.
he is finally, it was wow. And it's almost like you get to know yourself in an instant when you get to know your partner like that. And that's when with him, I was like, wow, he is
Rare. He is rare.
whoa. That means I'm rare. And that's that kind of that exchange there and feeling him and seeing him, and it was like this big spark. And I'm not talking the cliche spark. I'm talking rock your world a whole different level kind of a spark of where you can see past, present, future within that spark. And that was like, okay, I will take a chance here. Whatever this is meant for us to be on whatever this is. And that was worth taking that risk. And you smell so good too. I was like, oh my God, I was already swooning for him before anything, but. Is that what you mean?
That and more, Carrie. That's a lot of. I feel like there's a lot of energy between you two right now, where I want to leave the room.
Oh.
The way you guys are looking at each other. This is why I'm asking these questions.
Oh my goodness! I'm sorry. I'm like all but there was that charge though of like I never ever experienced that of how many people sit in my chair. I've never once experienced that charge that I had with him, and that understanding in that it's like. That exchange where you understand yourself past, present, and future because the person who you were literally touching. What the heck? And then getting to know you, like when we decided to start dating and stuff too, it's just not stopped. We just escalate and help each other to reach our next ascension.
Well, and that's really when you realized that I had unique abilities that were in line with what you had as
Mhm,
well.
mhm.
And
And I could see you.
yeah, and then it turns out we just help each other and fed each other's abilities
Right.
and act as an amplifier for each other. And
I remember that. That's right. When touching you, recognizing who he was as a person and him and his abilities, that was something different too, because it was like, wow, Gwen, I've never met somebody who was like me the way that he is. And to be able to see how he sees, to see it and know that that energy is still the same thing. I've never, ever used the words twin flame in my life. I always thought that was a bunch of crap until him. I'm 1,000% convinced that this is the man who, was. And talk about male energy and who you are. I mean, gosh, we're like so opposite yet very complementary too to each other. And we want nothing more than to raise each other up and make sure each other is staying really solid on our own paths too, and encouraging each other to.
in fact, I specifically remember when I was snuggling you and holding you on your back area with my chest, and you were like, "Oh, he's a healer as well."
Yeah.
Because I was putting out that energy, and I didn't even know I was doing it until she realized it and was like, "Oh, that's what you're doing."
What on earth? How does he know how to do this? This has always been such a shirt pops over. Ah. What did you just say? What'd you say, Casey? I just don't know. Yeah, and I've been like that ever since.
Yep.
Put all the heart emojis everywhere, drool emojis, pray emojis.
Well, Casey, when did you recognize that Carrie was your twin flame? Do you remember a certain moment?
I think when we really started becoming more intimate and we were really embracing each other and holding each other and loving each other in a way that I had never experienced before, and I had no idea was even possible. And I'm not even talking about astral sex. This is still in the beginning. This is still in the beginning parts of it. So feeling these feelings and experiencing this energy, that this pull back and forth, and you give and then you receive, and then we started going on these astral journeys together bit by bit. And of course she helped me with my clearing. She essentially, really, you saved my life.
You saved mine too, baby.
Because I was not in a good spot and not in a good place prior, and she really helped pull me out of the flames. And
I'll be damned if I'm
and
not my love.
that's when I realized that there was something very special between us, that I was going to get to experience things and share things with another person that I didn't know was physically possible, let alone in another dimension possible.
Right. So it's the same thing. It's undeniable. It's the work that we still do with each other. We still are going on these paths together, and we have these conversations that are really prophetic and analytical, and talking about the universe and how it works and our ascensions. It's almost like doing workshops every day. If you were to do a workshop and do all the ins and outs on how to do XYZ, we live this, and so for each other, we're helping each other to continuously propel. And it's just, it feels amazing, and it feels like I'm living in purpose the way that I'm supposed to be.
Amen.
And yeah, and watching him do that too, it's even more satisfying when you love somebody and you get to watch them ascend. It's like a present every day, because you do get something out of it, because as he ascends, there's kickback from it in a positive way.
When you succeed, I succeed. And when I succeed, you succeed.
Yep.
And that's what really helps boil down to that twin flame category of why that works.
Yeah, that's what a twin flame is.
Yes.
That's what a twin flame. Doesn't matter what period in life you meet them, or if they're the same gender or opposite gender. But who cares about that? but that's what twin flame is about. My love.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie, I'm going to ask you a question.
You bet.
How many lifetimes do you think you guys have lived?
Well, shoot. So I was shown one of our origins. This would have been the first at least 10 times that we were alive. And that was back in 1100. So I'm going to say we have been together a lot of lifetimes, but we're not always romantically involved. Most of the time we are, but not every time. Sometimes it's for a specific purpose. But with him though, in some way or another, I feel like regardless if in those lifetimes we were together, that we're still together, if that makes sense, because it's him and I have always been that type of a close. So I would say many, many lifetimes, but it all kind of filters into one lifetime because you're continuously going from one life into another and that whole cycle as it goes forward. So in essence, it is one life, but we're dealing with the present right now. So I would say many, many lifetimes. Exact number, I wouldn't have a number, but I feel it. I definitely feel it. Because the way that you and I, we just have that wisdom too,
Mm-hmm.
ultimate understanding of each other.
Well, and guides and the higher gentries have shown us and have given us, revelations about when we were together in past lives as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true, and they'll give it to us seemingly sometimes during astral sex.
Yeah.
We'll get these downloads because astral sex is something that happens on the other side, but it's also we can have it here too. But it's meant for total union between two souls. So it's extremely beautiful. I can't even explain it. It's just so beautiful. But what happens a lot in those is you're going to, because it's so pleasing to universe, you're going to get an ascension usually while you're having astral sex, but also downloads, universal downloads at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are coming out of that, it's a trip and a half to come out of that, because it's not just sex, it's not just astral sex, it's what happens during. It's so completely unique.
Well, sign me up. And on that note, I'm going to thank you guys and bid you a good evening. I got to go home.
On that note, we'll see you later, folks.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
How's that? And that. And that. And that.
Dang, she's voguing.